If you're not a subscriber to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Let's get down to business. So we're going to talk about an incident that took place on Friday, November 19th, 2004, in a game between the Eastern Conference runner-up and the Indiana Pacers and the defending NBA champion Detroit Pistons. This was a heated rivalry that was intensified by their meeting in this particular contest. This was the rematch of the 2004 Eastern Conference Finals, where the Pistons, emerged victorious, and they went on to defeat the LA Lakers in 5 games to win the NBA championship. Now, in that game on November 19, 2004, it was led by Ron Artest and Jermaine O'Neal. Ron Artest led all scorers that night with he dropped 24 points that night, and Jermaine O'Neal added 20 in that win by the Indiana Pacers. So I got some footage, and we're going to relive that footage from that infamous night, and then we're going to come back and further expand on the commentary. Without further ado, DJ, spin that shit.
Wes Parker activated today when Carlos Delfino went on the injured list with a knee bruise. Ben to the rack, lays it up, no, but we do have the whistle and a foul. Ben just went after our test.
Oh, that's not
we
good.
got trouble right here in the Motor City. We got big trouble here in the Motor City.
That's not good for Ben. And Derek Coleman has left the bench. That's going to be a suspension. I don't understand. I never saw what set it off, but that's going to cost Ben some money and maybe something else.
Larry Brown trying to hang on to Ben. And Garhurt trying to keep Rip Hamilton away. I don't know. There could have been some words spoken out here we don't know about, even though we're in the front row. Steven Jackson still screaming at the Pistons. Derek Coleman pulling Ben back. Garhurt pulling Chauncey back.
I can't tell what quite's going to happen here, but Dice is down all the way down there. He came back now, but
Campbell being pulled back by Pat Sullivan.
That was Alden Campbell that was down there, not Derek Coleman, wasn't it?
Now Ron Artest has gone on the headsets. The Indiana broadcast.
And Ben Wallace has threw something at him again. Ben's going to get a substantial fine and suspension if he doesn't really slow down here.
Rasheed is still over on the Indiana side of the timeline.
There goes Ben Wallace again.
There goes Artest up into the crowd. He's absolutely out of his mind. And Steven Jackson slugging people in the crowd here.
The whole Indiana team is in the crowd.
And now the Pistons are coming over.
This is not good for the NBA or for Detroit.
This is the ugliest scene you'll ever see.
Rasheed has to get out of the stands.
What in the world is going on here?
Rasheed's trying to be a peacekeeper in the whole thing up in the stands right now.
Rick Mahorn jumped up to try and keep people apart.
There's a fight down the other end right now. Ben Wallace is on the floor.
Well, the officials have no way to control this. And the coaches and the assistant coaches and everybody, when these guys lose it, and there's so many of them, there's almost nothing you can do. This was a Pier 6 brawl at the Palace tonight. And we still have 45.9 seconds to go.
Indiana's whole team is leaving the court, going to a locker room. People are throwing things, bottles, etc. They're showering with beer now.
Have you ever, Bill?
Well, I've
been in the league 49 years. I've never seen anything like that. I've seen a couple of guys in the stands for a fight, and now they're still going at it down on the other end.
This is not a pretty sight, but it happens. Very emotional game. Indiana came here with a lot of intensity, a lot of emotion, and they're really throwing stuff at Indiana going out the tunnel right now.
Well, it's Ron Artest, I believe, who was the object of the fans' wrath over there. You may never see anything like this again in pro sports.
Well, at least in the NBA, because this is going to be a serious situation, and they have called the game for the rest of the game, is what the announcer is saying over to PA.
The game has been called. Indiana wins the game, if you remember, 97-82. And the way it ended was as ugly as anything you may ever see.
Yeah, there'll be unbelievable is going to be the fines and also the suspensions that will be coming out of this game.
Well, the fans, like most fans, hollering at some of the Pacer players, and then suddenly Ron Artest ran into the stands. I mean, you can get hurt at a game like this.
Yeah, I don't know what set that one off, because Ron Artest was way down at the other end, and he just came wailing down the scorer's table, jumped into the stands, and started hitting people.
Here's how it started. Ben to the basket. Hard foul by Artest. Ben said, I've had enough. That's enough. I'm going to shove you. And now poor Tommy Nunez Jr. is trying to keep them apart. And Rasheed Wallace is trying to keep Ben away.
Yep.
But Rip is hot. And Steven Jackson now steps up into the middle of it.
Well, if it ended right there, okay, life was wonderful. Ron Artest goes and gets out of the way. Okay, which he doesn't, with this baggage he's been having, he doesn't want any part of it. And here comes Ron Artest into the stands.
Up into the stands to swing at a fan. This guy runs into the stands to swing at a fan. A guy half his size. Now Steven Jackson's up there swinging at people. Ricky Mahorn is trying to break it up. Ditto for Rasheed.
And there's a guy, a fan, punching Artest.
Mike Brown, the Indiana coach up there, one of the assistants, trying to slow things down. Rick Carlisle gets Ron Artest out of there briefly.
Well, the cardinal sin of any professional sporting event is that a player, no matter what happens, cannot go into the stands. That is the ultimate sin as far as any professional sport is.
Needless to say, that was one of the craziest, if not the most craziest incidents I've ever seen in my lifetime. And especially when Rasheed Wallace, of all people, trying to play peacekeeper, that's how you know this thing has gone way off the hinges. Now, since that incident, right, because that incident casted a black eye on the NBA, 9 players were suspended for a total of 146 games, with Ron Artest receiving the longest suspension, being banned for the remainder of the season and the playoffs, which totaled 86 games. 5 players and 5 fans faced assault charges. The fans involved were banned from attending games for life. And, since then, the Detroit Pistons have moved from the Palace, in Auburn Hills to Little Caesars Arena, which I believe is in downtown Detroit. This incident prompted the NBA to implement stricter security measures. This now you see increased security personnel at games. During the timeout, what you will see is you will have the security come out, and they are strategically placed around different areas of the court. Anytime there's an incident that break out, if a player leaves the bench, that's an automatic suspension. And in some arenas, there are limitations on alcohol sales, right? I think if some, not all, because after the when the fourth quarter starts, that's when they stop selling alcohol. So any game you go to for the NBA, when the fourth quarter starts, that's when they stop serving alcohol. So, yeah, that was, like I said, the craziest incident I've seen in my lifetime. It's, like I said, it led to different changes in policies, team dynamics, public perception in professional basketball. 2 decades after this incident, the ramifications are still being felt. And of course, a lot of narratives were being brought about, racial undertones, dog whistles, particularly in the portrayal of the way the black players were being portrayed when this situation took place. And Rick Carlisle was the coach at that particular time. Reggie Miller didn't play in that game. You had Mike Brown being assistant. Larry Brown was the head coach at that particular time for the defending champion Detroit Pistons. And I was in the military. Matter of fact, I was a E5 in the military when this happened. And I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. And I remember this play taking place. I was in Norfolk, Virginia. I was living out in Hampton at the time, and I saw this thing go down. And then the thing about it was, they didn't even finish the last 45 seconds. The thing got so crazy to the point where both teams end up leaving the arena. They didn't even finish the game because things were so wild. You had fans throwing chairs. You had fans throwing showering players with water, beer, whatever else as they were leaving. So it was just an insane turn of events. And what really got this thing off the rails was when that fan threw that drink. So some fan named John Green threw a cup of Diet Coke at Ron Artest, and it hit him in the chest. Now, when Ron Artest got hit with that drink on the chest, because remember, he was sitting on the announcer's table. Well, he was just laid up on the announcer's table, and he immediately got up and targeted another fan who was identified by the name of Michael Ryan and started punching him. And that set off the chain of events. That was the thing that made the whole situation go completely off the rails. Now, since then, Ron Artest, who then changed his name to Metta World Peace, went to the Lakers eventually, won the championship. Matter of fact, he hit the biggest shot in Game 7 in that 2010 Game 7 series against the Boston Celtics. Even Steven Jackson, he went to the Spurs. He won a championship with the Spurs also. since he left Indiana. So yeah, man, you guys let me know what y'all think, man. This was, like I said, this was a crazy incident. One of the most insane, wildest incidents I've ever seen in my lifetime. I still remember it to this day. And if you wonder why we got the reforms that we have now in the NBA, it's thanks in part to this particular game right here. Now, if you're not a subscriber to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and share these videos on your social. Oh, before I forget, there's one piece of information I forgot to tell y'all. Right now, guess who was the referee in that game that particular night? Y'all would not believe who was the official, one of the referees in that game that night. Because I definitely forget to tell y'all this part before I signed off. Hold on. Did this man ring a bell? Does this name ring a bell? Now, for those of you who don't know who this is former NBA official Tim Donaghy. They made a whole Netflix documentary about this guy. He was the referee for 13 seasons from 94 to 2007 until he got caught up in a gambling scandal. He officiated in 772 regular season games and 26 playoff games. He resigned on July 9, 2007 after reports of an investigation by the FBI on allegation that he bet on games that he officiated during his last 2 seasons and that he made calls that affected the point spread in those games. He admitted to betting on games he officiated in each of the 2003, 2004, 2005, and 2006 seasons. He pleaded guilty to 2 federal charges related to the investigation on August 15th, 2007, and he served time in federal prison in 2008. He was released on November 4th, 2009. So yeah, now what if he bet on that game? Only one could wonder, right? But anyway, I wanted to drop off that piece of news right there, right? When it comes to Tim Donaghy, right? Because he was the official or the lead referee for that particular game for Malice in the Palace. Now, I'm going to sign off. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Last but definitely not least, shouts out to the Lions Den basketball community. This your man. Scream at me. Hey!